What's up, guys? It's Matt Jackson and Clay Smith, and we are the Wash Bros. Welcome to the eighth episode today. And for this one, we're going to be talking about kind of what to focus on. This is springtime, so we want to tell you how we focus and like what we avoid and what we're trying to focus on. And this is like game time for pressure washing. So we see a lot of guys kind of bullshitting around this time of year, focusing on the wrong things. And what separates us from a lot of other people is we're really laser focused on what we're doing. So I'll let Clay kick this thing off, and you can lead into this one. So
Okay, great. Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody as always for listening, downloading all of our content, checking us out, following us, listening to all of our other downloads, all of our other episodes, and kind of just seeing our journey here because that's kind of what we've documented. I appreciate everybody for listening in, tuning in, asking questions, giving us a comment. Make sure you comment if there's something that you have as far as an idea or something you'd like for us to cover because more than likely we've already been through it. And I think this is a great episode. We easily get distracted on other things through, I mean, everything else going on in the world. And then obviously getting caught up in all of the other people, the gurus online on what we need to be doing. And if you get caught up in the wrong thing, you could be wasting a lot of time. And we all know that time is money. So focusing on the wrong things in peak season, I think it's a great topic. I think it's very important because, like I say, time is money, and you can easily get distracted. So I have seen a lot of people here recently. It's almost like I don't know how to explain it. We are in peak season now. You can have a heartbeat and find work. However, I see a lot of guys are offering discounts, which there's no reason we should be offering discounts right now. Um, Maybe that's just their type of marketing, but there's no reason we should be offering discounts. See a lot of guys that are pressure washing companies that are focusing on cleaning gutters, um, which is, I mean, I get we're exterior cleaning companies, but instead of trying to knock out gutter cleaning, that's going to take, depending on the difficulty of the house, you can spend 2 or 3 hours cleaning gutters. I'd rather spend 2 or 3 hours cleaning 2 or 3 houses. So time is money. How are we managing our time to make sure we're making the most money?
yeah, that's great. And it's funny. I'm in my basement, and of course, I see a little mouse running around my floor. So if I scree
Oh
if I
Lord.
if I screech, it's because they're biting my toes. Um, but I was like, oh shit, what's that shadow? And it's a little baby mouse. It's hilarious.
Uh,
Um, yeah, that's a great point because like we'll talk about this a lot too. You see guys online and they're posting about, hey, we're doing gutter cleanings or we're doing like these. We're posting about services that aren't like really highly profitable or relevant to the spring season. This is the time of year when like the high profitability, the good customers come out. So we need to be focusing on posting about that, talking about showcasing like, hey, we're cleaning these projects that we want people to hire us for. We don't want to say we're cleaning out gutters. We're doing stuff that people do in the cold seasons just to fill work and fill labor. And two, like you said, with discounts, you don't really want to be pushing that whole discount thing because then you're going to be attracting those cost focused type customers who are like, this guy's offering a discount. What can you do? It's like, no, we don't do that. It's like we're cleaning your house and we're cleaning everybody else's house. This is the busy season. It's like discounts are fine if you need work, but this is the time of year where you don't need to be pushing that. And
uh, yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're offering discounts, you're going to be attracting the cheaper customers. You attract the cheaper customers, you're going to obviously when you do work for a customer, there's a great possibility they're going to call you back and they're going to always expect cheap. And our goal as business owner is how can we catch that customer? It's almost like fishing. How can I get a hold of that customer and how can I keep that customer and how can I keep farming that customer? So once you keep farming that customer, if that's your goal, then like I say, they're always going to expect cheap and they're always going to expect a discount. Well, what kind of promotions are you running this month? It's almost like me calling Papa John's and saying, okay, what are your deals on your pizza? Because they're always offering deals. So every time I call Papa John's, I'm like, okay, what deals are you running on your pizza today? And that's
exactly.
the kind of customer that you're going to get if that's the way you market.
Yeah, you don't want to be the cheap guy. And a lot of times social media, this is such a saturated industry and market now. I'll see guys posting in these groups, hey, can somebody pressure wash my house? And there's 500 comments of pressure washing companies saying, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it today, I can do it tomorrow. Like begging for work. And in my opinion, that is really lowering your value in the busy season. And I'm all about like, hey, getting yourself out there, being seen on social media, but I think the ship has sailed there. And if guys are over here begging for work or coming off as begging for work, you're positioning yourself to be desperate and giving discounts, and I think that lowers the value of your company. And
100%.
because let's be honest, if somebody's going to go through for a house wash that should be a $300 house wash and call 5 different companies, that's not a customer you want to deal with. You want to deal with somebody who goes to Google or who's like, hey, I like this guy, I'm going to call this guy. I'm not going to ask a million questions, but if somebody off the bat is asking for like the cheapest price person on a forum and all these people are responding and they're reaching out to these people, that person's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with, and they're going to choose you because you were cheaper than the other guy.
Yeah, I had a guy reach out yesterday. I think I shared this with you, Matt, and I gave him my minimum charge price because it was a small job, and then the guy was like, "Well, can you meet me at 270?" I'm like, no. I know it was just so our minimum charge is $300 or whatever. So I know it was just $30, but if you start doing that to customers, then they basically are not seeing value in your cut. It's almost like a disrespect thing for me. Even if it's $25, I don't care. I'm not giving you a discount
Exactly.
because I see worth in my company.
And another thing is reframe that. This is what I'll do. People were like, hey, if I can get my neighbors in, do I get a discount? I said, yeah, you'll get a discount, but you're bringing in work. So therefore you're raising value in like what they're negotiating on. And instead of me doing a $300 job, if I can do, hey, if you want that 270, bring your next door neighbor in. And then for me, I get to be in one location and make $540 versus $300. And that's where it's okay to negotiate. But I'm not just going to take money off the table because you're asking me to take money off the table.
Yeah, those are not the people I want to work for. If they're already asking for a discount up front, that just means they're more than likely going to be a headache to begin with.
Yep, you're probably not going to get the Google review. You're not going to get the recommendation, and they might not call you in because they're going to call
They're
somebody
probably not
else
going to
back.
use you again. Yeah.
There's people, and I find in my experience in these groups, they love like trying to find and use a new contractor every. They're like, oh, I want to find the new guy and use it. It was like when I was at the car lot, there would be customers who want to find the newest sales rep because they know they can dick them around and get a deal. And
100%.
that's almost the same thing when like what I see in these groups. These people are like, oh, I want to hire the new guy. I'm like, you're hiring the new guy because you think you can get the best money for all of the effort that he's going to have to put into your house.
Yeah, they want to support a new business. So definitely, if you're newer, getting into this stuff, just watch out for people like that. There are plenty of red flags. Also, there are a lot of people, a lot of the new guys. If you're a new guy, let me just go ahead and say this while I'm thinking about it. If you're a new guy, make sure you're not clicking on other pressure washing businesses ads and calling them and asking them and trying to pretend to be a customer and asking what they're charging. If you need a guideline on what to charge as far as pricing goes, please message me or Matt and let us kind of help you there. I know there's a lot of people that are listening, a lot of new guys. If you are in that position, do not click on anybody's ads. So basically, what you see at the top are ads, like on Google, when you search for pressure washing companies. And anytime you click on that, it's costing another company anywhere from $50 to $120, depending on what kind of words you say and what kind of words in the conversation that Google picks up. It could be costing you money, or it could be costing the people you're calling money. So maybe it's something that me and Matt could come out with to kind of give everybody a guideline. I know we're working on a few things behind the scenes to try to help people, give people guidelines. But if you can, please just reach out. We're here to help, and that's why we started this podcast.
Correct. And you can, and we talk about this too. If like you want to secret shop somebody, a lot of times try to create like a positive relationship first with the person, or use, say, instead of going to your or my business page for pressure washing, why don't you try to go through the Wash Bros group where we can talk to you? Hey, this is like I can turn my brain off from saying, is this a potential customer, to, hey, this is somebody that wants help pressure washing. And it's a completely different energy. Like, you're not wasting
Yeah,
like business time. You're saying, oh, cool, this guy is a supporter of the show and we want to help you out. It's a completely different energy than like being kind of weird and shady behind the scenes saying, hey, how much is it to pressure wash this house? And then we spend time and energy thinking, okay, this is a quote I have to turn to get a customer's job, only to realize that, okay, thanks, no problem. You were just secret shopping us.
and 9 times out of 10, I can sniff you out, and I'm gonna call you out every time just
Yeah.
because I know that you're costing me money, and I know you're not a customer, but please shoot us a message on the Wash Bros podcast page. Also, join the Wash Bros Facebook group on Facebook. It's called The Wash Bros, and it has our logo. Join that. There's open discussion where me and Matt can help you out there. If you have any questions, there are some other pressure washers in there as well that can help you. That's the Wash Bros group on Facebook.
Exactly. And two, by having it small and us kind of moderate it, we can avoid the nonsense that you see in these big Facebook groups where it just becomes a bunch of people who have no idea what they're talking about, giving you opinions about stuff that they watched one YouTube video or they've been doing it 100 times this way with a red tip and they think they're an expert at pressure washing. So the value of our pages are that like we're in control, so we're curating the content.
And just to give everybody a volume of work we're doing, me and Matt are doing anywhere from 60 to 70 jobs a month right now. And then come May, we'll probably be doing upwards to 100 to 120 jobs a month. So that's the kind of volume we're doing. If you're trying to get to that level, join. We'll give you all the tips that we got. And my favorite saying is, we can lead a horse to water, but we can't make it drink it. So um, we can tell you all the things we're doing, but if you don't apply it, then you're not going to get to the level that we're at.
Yeah. And especially it's funny because people try to hold on to like knowledge and information like it's some like sacred thing. It's all shared, and it's all shared. Like we pretty much do the same things each other. We just put our own spin on it. And that's how most companies operate. So don't be like, well, this is my trade secret. I ain't sharing nothing. That's not what's important, especially with AI nowadays. Like, we have all the knowledge in the world. We know how to do anything, but it's the application of that knowledge is what's separating you from us. So if you guys are on the fence or you're overanalyzing yourself, like, it's not hard. We're telling you exactly
And
what we do every single week for the last 2 years. We've been doing this podcast, and it's not a complicated business, but the application of the knowledge and us doing it and not overanalyzing ourselves and questioning and being like, oh, there's a better way. It's like, just do it.
and
Because
the C word, consistency.
that's huge. Consistency is huge.
We
And
say it. I say it every episode. At the consistency.
yeah,
It's
we're
my favorite word.
consistent at saying consistency. It's perfect. But people
Yeah,
people this year are going to be complaining about being slow because there's so many people in the market. There's so many people that got into this when the economy was really hot and anybody could pressure wash. And now people are running into money issues because the economy's not the greatest. And this is what's going to separate the guys who are going to last from the guys that are going to have to get jobs again. And that's why, like, we stress, hey, consistency. What are we doing? We're not starting our ads in May expecting to be busy and have a good year. We've started them when we started our businesses and we hadn't turned them off. Clay's super consistent at keeping his ads running, and he's going to have a smoke show of a year because he's running ads and nobody else has been running ads. So, like, when everybody was distracted doing their Christmas lights or everybody's distracted doing this over here, we've been super consistent on running and pushing our messaging out. So this is the time where we're seeing the results. So if you're like, oh, how are you guys getting so much work? It's like, we're farming our customers, we're running ads, we're getting in front of people, we're positioning ourselves the right way. We're not over here talking about cleaning out gutters. We're not over here talking about doing nonsense stuff or like fleet washing. We're focusing on what's really moving the needle in our bread and butter of business.
yeah. Going back to the last episode too, the myth episode. I was just kind of thinking just now when you were saying that, focusing on the wrong services and stuff like that. Um, a lot of people are focusing on the Christmas lights, and I think that's a great revenue driver. But we work hard enough during the year, the 10 months out of the year that we wash. That I don't think you don't necessarily have to do Christmas lights if you work hard enough and you focus on that one thing, that one service, and get really good at it, and then figure out how to get more customers and so on and so forth about how to move the needle. then you don't have to worry about Christmas lights because we do so well. I mean, I don't know, Matt. I mean, we separate ourselves so well in the market. In
Yeah.
my experience, even talking with other entrepreneurs that are trying to do 10 different things, if you could just find that one good thing and you could get really good at it and you could set yourself apart from everybody else, you will go so far.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's one thing if you have, okay, I want to focus on Christmas lights, but I'm still running a team driving forward with pressure washing. I think the problem becomes when you have to stop one thing and then you start something else. If you're like, hey, we're running 2 trucks year round with pressure washing, and then we're running Christmas lights in the Christmas light season, but we're not taking our feet off the gas with pushing our pressure washing, that's no problem. But the problem is like if you're an owner operator type and you got to do everything yourself. And from like the end of August on, you've really shifted your business from like pressure washing to I'm putting up Christmas lights. And yeah, it's great. You get all your money in December. And then in January, you're taking them down. And then you're sitting here in the springtime, like, why don't I have any pressure washing work? I was like, yeah, from August, that ramp up into Christmas light season. And then you're coming out of that and then you haven't really done much moving the ball forward with pressure washing. And even if you think, oh, I have repeat customers here, all those customers are going to be taken by guys who have been pushing and marketing towards those customers. And I've got friends and I see customers who they're like, yeah, this guy was pressure washing, but now he's doing everything else. And like, I kind of want somebody who solely focuses on pressure washing. It's almost like devalues their company. If they're like, it's like, oh, this is the season for this. This is the season for this. Then you become a handyman essentially. And you're not like the expert in the field. And that's what Clay and I shoot to be. They're like, hey, we want to be the leaders. And like we focus full time year round. This is our gig. And I think that's
It,
you find out like the harvest season is this time of year. So if you're looking around and you're slow and you're wondering why you're slow, it's because you haven't been pushing in the slow season like we have been pushing.
Yeah, so a lot of guys, when they were not getting the phone calls, they just go do whatever and enjoy their time off or just consider it time off. Like, okay, it's slow, I'm not going to do anything, and then they still whining 2 months later that it's slow. And the reason that it's slow is because you're not doing your part in marketing, putting no matter what's going on, no matter how much work I got, I'm still pushing energy into my business. No matter how slow it is, I'm still trying to find ways, even if it's something that's not going to work out till 6 months from now. I'm always pushing, always trying to make relationships, always seeing if I can better that ad, if I can reword whatever on my website to help my SEO, to find better work insurance. I don't know, anything. Always working in the business. Just because the phone's not ringing doesn't mean I stop working.
Exactly. Because and I think too people have it backwards. Like it's almost like going to the gym or exercising. If you go to the gym for 2 weeks, you're not going to notice any change. But you've been going there for a year or 2 years consistently. Somebody's going to look at you and say like, "Man, you've been working out, really?" And you're like, "I've been doing it for 2 years." But they're not going to notice that if you just started going for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So how is it any different when we're starting to market our pressure washing business? We're running ads. We're doing Facebook stuff. We're putting the 1% of effort that we do to market our business in the busy season to like try to grow our business for pressure washing. And I'm like, this is a year round gig. You can't focus on just saying I'm going to turn it on and turn it off, turn it on and turn it off. Clay's really good at keeping it consistent and keeping like his ads wide open. Whether he's losing money on them or earning money on them, there's still a return long term. There's like a net positive return for just keeping them open and spending money on ads and being seen. Because I remember in the winter, I'd look pressure washing anything and Clay would be at the top, meaning he's spending money and nobody else is spending money. So like you get rewarded by the actions that you take, and those actions are not fun when it's slow, but this time of year you're like, I'm slammed, I'm busy, and then you're gonna be busy until wintertime. And that's because you just keep the pedal down and you're not on and off, on and off, on and off.
Yeah, it's very hard to just log out and log in without having a what I call like a big business. So like if you don't have your business running for you, which I think that's everybody's goal. I know that's mine and your goal is to eventually have all the moving parts running without you having to do anything or touch anything or whatnot and just draw a check later on. But it's kind of hard to just turn everything on and off. And I think that that's what we work hard for, is we work hard to at least get to that point. And I don't think that you can let off the pedal until you're there, which I don't think you'll never fully be there. But you know, if you can walk away and go on a 2 week vacation, your business run itself, and you hardly get any phone calls, and you don't have to worry about it, I think that's when you've officially been able to turn your business off or clock out or whatnot.
Yeah, and by that we don't mean we're not running ads. We mean we have somebody in place as an employee who's doing it for us. So there's no such thing as, oh, once you get word of mouth, you're good. Once you get business established, you're good. If you've done this much money last year, you don't have to market the next year. I'm like, if I turned off my ads, I'd probably do like 70% of what I did last year. And that's
Well,
the reality of the business.
it's like we've talked about before. The richest companies in the world advertise. Walmart, they advertise. Coke, they advertise. Pepsi, they advertise. Your big, your I mean, any of your biggest, richest companies in the world. I mean, Apple, they even advertise. So think about it that way. Everybody advertises. Just because I don't know. That philosophy is really, I've never understood it. Like the people, I understand that there's some like trades, like special things like that don't need to no advertisement. But in a saturated industry, you need to figure something out, because like somebody like me or Matt that's really good at marketing, they're pretty much going to sweep up most of the market just because we're always in front of people's faces, and that's, I think that's the main goal.
Yep. And there's a house I do every year, and the guy's like, "Hey, you send me an email, and I pressure wash it up in like Hartwell." He doesn't live there. He lives in Nashville, and he's like, "For the love of God, I can't figure out like my landscape guy. Do you know any recommendations? I can't find his contact information." And
Ugh.
I send him a every year follow up that says, "Hey, like we cleaned your house today of last year. You want to get us on the schedule again?" So he's like, "Absolutely, this is perfect." And then he's like, "I can't remember the guy who cuts my grass. Do you have a guy?" So I was able to get this guy's business because he's a rich guy, a busy guy. And if he looks at his inbox and he says, "Oh, cool, the pressure washer guy is like, hey, you want us to clean your house again?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." Like no thought process, $1,000 right there, just follow up. And his landscaping guy, same type of service, same needs, same time of year. He didn't know because the guy didn't have a follow up with him. So he's like, "I don't know the guy. Do you know somebody else?" So that's a lost job for somebody else because he didn't have a system in place to remind that guy, "Hey, pressure wash your house or get your landscaping done." And and that guy could have been doing it for 5 years, but the guy just simply misplaced it. If I refer him to somebody who uses a system like we do and has follow ups, and he's like, "Cool, this is easy." Therefore, you lost that customer.
Yeah, and
And
having a CRM takes you and separates you so much farther than everybody else. Even if you don't have the automated stuff, just the communication part of it, it separates you from probably 90% of the the rest of the market. I mean, there's not many guys in our industry that I know that use a CRM, a database that keeps up with all that, basically invoices the customer, sends them a receipt, where it says a merchant, and definitely worth the money. It's just one of those things you have to invest in as a company if you want to set yourself apart and be professional, and it helps you. You don't lose the customer's information either. And I think when I first started, I was working out of a notepad and a book, and it's just so hard to find people's information working that way. And I don't know how anybody does it because I'm so OCD. So the CRM helps so much.
one thing too that I started up with House Call Pro, and you might as well, is like called a pipeline feature, and it's like $75 extra a month. And I'm like, man, do I really want another reoccurring charge? But every estimate I create goes through like their pipeline feature, and it automates follow up emails, follow up text blast, whether it be on the job side, if the job's like approved but it hasn't been scheduled yet, we can automate follow ups like that, or like getting invoices paid. The invoice hasn't been paid. It'll create follow up sequences, and it's probably gained me like $3,000 or $4,000 just of following up because, like you were saying the other day, Clay, you just reached out to people of quotes that you sent earlier in the month or last month, and they're like, "Cool, yeah, put me on the books. I forgot about it. I'm ready." And the automation of the CRM House Call Pro that we use, it's like the same feature. I've had people that are like, I'm not ready yet, waiting on pollen, but we're gonna go with you. Cool. Thanks for letting me know. And like if I never had a follow up or if I never personally reached out, I would just say, oh, that person just didn't use me. Or that person
Well,
may have forgotten. They're like, who was that pressure washing guy? And then they go to Google again, fill out a new lead, and then they talk to somebody else, and that person says it's the right time for the customers, the right time for the business owner, and they take that business. It's like, how much money are we leaving on the table because we're not choosing to modernize our systems and use automations or CRMs or stuff like that.
and here come May, you're not going to have time to even do that. So now that you have the automation in place, it's still like what it's called. It's called a pipeline. It keeps that pipeline going, and you're not even having to touch it. It's automated, and I think that's what really opened my eyes the other day. Going, I mean, I had got off work a little early. I was just trying to find a way to be productive, and that's what I'm always do. Keep my foot on the gas, no matter if I get home early or not. A lot of people are just going off and doing whatever they want to do the rest of the day, but I'm working to at least 5 or 6 every day, just trying to keep my pedal to the floor, trying to keep things moving because it pays off in the long run. And I was like, well, I'll just shoot these people, look at my estimates, see. And I had a ton of estimates still out. I'm just like, what the crap? So I sent a bunch of, and I think out of 20 something open estimates, I booked 6 jobs within like an hour. So it just people get so busy, they'll fill out your form online, they'll call you, whatever, they're because it's just on their to-do list to get quotes or whatever. And you may be the only one that reaches out. And that's how you get the job. You know, if you give them a fair price, you're the only one that's communicating, you're the only one that's following up. They're like, okay, well, he's been precise with communicating. He's going to be precise with his business. He's going to be precise with his work. He's going to be precise with cleaning my house. And we're going to give this guy a shot, especially if it's a first timer.
No doubt. And if you guys aren't from the sales world or familiar with sales, a lot of times it takes up to like 12 touches just to close a deal. And it depends on pricing and other factors like that. A lot of times if it's like a lower ticket pressure washing job, it's like a one call close. But there's a lot of things that go into this that you don't know of the person. They could be waiting for the next paycheck. They could just be waiting on pollen. They could be moving into a house a certain time. So don't just send them a quote. Make sure you're understanding like why they need the quote. Like dig deeper and then act as a salesperson because like we always say too, like we're a pressure washing company, but we're really a sales and marketing company and the product that we're selling and marketing is pressure washing. So we got to keep it like flip it on our head and say, okay, in every interaction with a customer, how am I positioning myself as a sales and marketing company? And if we're saying, oh, I got 10 gallons a minute in my pressure washer on my mini moto, and this is how fast I can clean, nobody cares. That's just circle jerk of us technicians. But if you're saying I'm a sales and marketing person and I'm filling out a pipeline and I'm running my business like a true professional, you're never going to be shy of work. And a lot of guys online are complaining right now because work is slow for them and they're like, oh, this year's slow, the phone calls aren't there. I'm like, well, if the phone calls aren't coming in, what are you doing to drive the phone calls to come into you? Like what are you doing outbounding to bring work to you? We're getting to the point where this industry is so saturated. If you're not actively marketing yourself and pushing yourself every day, you're going to be irrelevant. And people are going to get a rude awakening because like if the pie of work is shrinking, we're going to have to figure out how to be creative and how to outdo each other in order to get ahead. And that's where Clay and we both see eye to eye that way. And a lot of guys don't really see it. So it's like almost like we see past the matrix. And it looks like it's easy for us because like we're actively doing certain things that other people aren't.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how hard you want to hustle, really. And I have a 10-year goal, and I'm trying to reach a 10-year goal, and I'm not letting up until I reach that 10-year goal. So, um, no offense to anybody, I'm worried about me, I'm worried about myself, and I'm worried about my family, and I'm worried about my business, and I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get there. And you got to have that positive. You got to have that. You got to have that mindset. You can't be worrying about the things that's going on, what the other companies are doing, what the discounts they're offering or how cheap they are. Don't be matching other companies' prices. I know that a lot of people do that, and it goes back to what we were talking about of getting those cheaper customers. And one of the biggest mistakes I made was worrying about competition when I first got started. My first year, I was always worrying about what the competition was doing. And I think that I wasted so much energy, and I feel like I could be so much further if I wasn't worried about that. And and there's a difference between being personal and there, business is business, friends is friends. Like I know that we all socialize together, and a lot of us do. A lot of people can't set their ego aside and say, okay, what can this guy do to help me? Because maybe one day Matt may have a job and say, hey, I can't get to this. Would you like to take care of it for me? So if we could all work together, it's just so much easier. Put the ego aside. Like I say, business is business, friends is friends. Matt takes customers from me. I take customers from him, and we both look at each other and say, "Damn, good job." And it's just business.
There's plenty of customers, especially in this time of year where we get so busy, that I have great customers that use me like every year. And some of these off years, I can't fit them in enough time. And I say, call Clay. If like, and then you will do it one year, and then I will come back the following year. And I'm like, hey, it looks great. And it's just like we took care of that customer need, whether it was me or him. Like we both have that same value, and that like I know this that the customer is going to be in good hands when he's with Clay. And it's important that you find somebody who's that way too, so you're not just like, oh, this guy will do it, this guy will do it. I don't do a lot of recommendations or referrals because I don't want my name tied up to somebody who I know who I don't know the caliber of work they're going to do. So like you almost have value adding your company by having a good base of friends, contractors that like deliver that same value and quality of work to customers. And I mean, we've thrown, whether or not we do it on purpose or customers just will get a quote from either of us and then decide one or the other. Like we're constantly like doing each other's work or getting work done to us, or a big project comes and instead of me having to buy another truck, I'd be like, hey, do you want to go 50-50 on this deal? And usually that works out better in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, we've done big projects together. It's worked out fine, and we moved on. And I think that sometimes, I honestly think some people get a little confused between both of our businesses. Get us
I,
a little confused.
I've had guys who are like, yes, you helped me out before, and I'm like, you definitely did not. He's like, you got the blue trucks. I was like, yeah, I got the blue trucks. It's like I know who that is.
Yeah, which, hey, it is what it is, right? Like I say, personal is personal. Friends is friends, business is business. You got to learn how to set that aside. Because I mean, I learned that a long time ago in the car business. Cutthroat. It is what it is.
I
Hey,
think
if you made that extra call and got that customer in, hey, great job. I got to work a little harder next time.
I think too, people's insecurities shine through. So if you're butthurt about a competitor, if you're butthurt about somebody, you know deep down that you're not deserving of that business. And instead of like looking yourself in the mirror and saying, "Oh man, I didn't work as hard as he did. I didn't deliver the best I could. I didn't show up," I'm gonna say, "Oh, he took my business," as opposed to say, "You know what? He did a good job." Like respect. And that's the difference between somebody who's a winner and somebody who's a loser. So like we both strive to be winners here. We don't need to bitch and moan and look around and say, "Oh, boo hoo, we're going to be a victim,"
Yeah, he
because like
stole my
that's
customer.
very toxic energy.
There's a reason that customer called you over me, vice versa. Um,
Correct.
Either I had time to reach out, you made time to reach out, I didn't. There was something that the customer liked that you did that called you over me, and hey, and that's the way we have to look at things. Hey, what can I do better next time to get that customer? Like, what did I do? Where did I go wrong? Use it as a learning experience.
So many times, dude, they might say, "Hey, I used this guy one year. I used this guy the next year," and it's no harm nor foul on anybody. It's just, are we playing a long game or are we playing a short game? If you're too focused in the short game, you're going to be miserable and you don't have any like big direction. You don't have vision. And like Clay was saying, he did a great job of going from like that kind of like, I got a chip on my shoulder hustler, I got to prove myself to the world, to like, I'm a like business guy who's proven himself and I'm like grounded now. And I think it's definitely helped your business by like the value you're putting out versus like, oh, let me show these people, which is like a huge growth milestone. And most people don't make that jump. They just stay in that like, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years. So it's like you've been an asshole doing the same one year for 20 years in a row. That's why you're stuck.
Yeah, you always got to be searching. You always got to be finding ways to be better because everything changes every day. The way we advertise, the things that people look at, the platforms people are finding on different platforms. There's just so many things that change day to day, and you got to stay on top of those things, or you're going to get left behind. And I think I've seen that trend with a lot of the older guys. that were one time were really, really good in this business, and they were like the top dogs, and they've been doing it 20 to 25 years, 30 years, however long they've been doing it. And then they just fell behind in time and said, well, I've been doing this so long, I'm the biggest, baddest, whatever, and have all these customers. But then somebody like me or you come through, and hey, we start marketing, these people start, we start getting in front of these people's faces, and then we start digging into those guys that's been doing it 20 or 30 years, because we've learned how to market. We've caught up with the times that they were not catching up with or staying on top of, and that's usually just how it goes. You just got to stay on top of the trends and the things that are going on every day, every week, every month. Things are changing every day.
Exactly. If you're not evolving, you're dying. And honestly, in this business, like it's almost a race to the bottom. You don't want to be the cheapest person in the world, but you also don't want to be $800 to $1,000 on a house wash. Like you're not going to be very busy whatsoever when Clay and I can come in at $500, take your business, be done in an hour and 15 minutes, get a Google review, and then get a referral off of that. Like the business model is shifting, and if you're not keeping up with that new business model, you're not going to make this business anymore. And that's
And
not
then
being the
move,
$99 guy. That's saying I'm running an efficient business with modern equipment and I'm busting my ass and I'm getting it done on both ends.
yeah, I mean, you're doing an $800 to $1,000 one job when I can come in and do that same job for, like you say, an hour and a half for half the price, and then go and do three or four more of those afterwards.
And then you wonder why you guys are slow. And that's it's just what happens with everything. Look at like Walmart. Walmart comes to a town. It's like, hey, we have a better business model than you do. We can knock out more work at a better price point, and we're going to get a lot of market share. And that's what's happened. And we're delivering a high caliber work because it's funny. I think you were telling me you had a customer reach out to you. He's like, "Why are you so much cheaper than everybody else?" You're like, "Uh, because I'm going to knock it out in an hour." It's like, and I'm going to do a
Yeah,
better
like
job than these people. And that's like the model of this business nowadays. You gotta keep pushing. You like our average ticket's like in the mid 500s. We're not overly expensive. We're not overly cheap. We run a really tight ship, and we're like in and out, in and out, in and out. Great job, in and out, in and out. And like you got the right equipment, you can do it. And it's not like we're making 150 to $200 an hour consistently. It's not like we're over here trying to kill the market. Like we're being really competitive and delivering more value than what we're charging people. And that's why both of our businesses are thriving, because that's economics 101. And that's the shift I see people not able to make. They don't have modern technology like we do. They don't have modern marketing. They don't have wrap trucks. They don't have professional equipment. And they're just kind of humping through it. What worked 10 years ago is not going to work today. It's definitely not going to work tomorrow. So it's like you got to evolve. And guys online are putting out these crazy machines, and if you're competing with, if you're not evolving and you're on like 5 gallon a minute machine or whatever, this or that, that's cool, but like just understand your place in the market. And if you want to grow, you have to kind of evolve with the times.
yeah, 5 gallon a minute machine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think starting out, that's a great starting point because you're only doing so much and you're learning. But you get to the 8 gallon a minute when you're doing three or four jobs a day. You definitely need the 8 gallon a minute.
Yeah, we have employees run an average of like 4 jobs a day, 3, 4 jobs a day. Not like Clay busting it out solo, but like we're able to do consistent work, 12 to $1,500 a day, like bare minimum, and that's not gouging people, and that's getting work consistently, and that's the business model that I have that seems to be working because we're not shy of work and we're not really turning people away, and people try to say, "Oh, these newbies are killing the market," or "These people are killing the market." I'm like, there's been so many times where we'll knock out a job in much better quality of work, short amount of time, and a better price point for the customer. And that's how you're going to win. We're not charging people by the square foot. We understand our numbers and we're going about it. How can we make our numbers work and grow our business? So that's kind of, we're not over here secret shopping people saying, "Oh, you're charging 17 cents a square. That's how you make money." It's like, no, that's not how you make money.
Yeah, you got to know what your time is worth. It's all a numbers game, and that's what it goes back to what I was wanting to mention earlier with the services. Like if you're offering all these services, well, how do you know what your goals are? How do you know what you're going to hit? How do you know what you're averaging? you're doing gutter cleaning one day, you're doing window washing another day, you're doing what's the other services people do? Whatever, if you're doing painting, I see a lot of pressure washers do staining and painting. How do you set a goal that way?
Yep.
um and it's very hard to, I think when you grow your business and you get to a certain point, you can utilize different trucks for that. If you have 3 or 4 trucks, say, okay, I got a painting department, I got a staining department, I got a gutter cleaning department, and I got a pressure washing department. But it's hard to do all those things at once and set goals and be efficient.
Exactly. You come off a scatterbrained and then you fail at all ends because there's only so much you can do as one. So,
100%, yes sir.
but we're at the 40-minute mark. We're,
Yes sir, that's about where we try to keep them, huh?
yep, 30, 40 minutes. Where is there anything you'd like to talk about? I guess to wrap this one up.
No, man. I just like I start out with and end with. I appreciate everybody listening. We're gonna go far with these things. No telling. We're gonna keep pushing these episodes out, talking about what we're dealing with, talking about the success, what we can help you with. Come out with some cool things. Release some merchandise eventually. Maybe try to do some conferences and stuff like that. So we're gonna keep this thing growing with your support, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Join our Facebook group, like our Facebook, the Wash Bros podcast page. Obviously, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I appreciate everybody listening and supporting us. Follow us on Facebook too. Our personal pages, Matthew Jackson. If you want to follow Matt on Facebook, and you can follow me, Clay Smith.
Oh yeah. And the cool thing about this show is you can go back to our first episode, and whatever point in business you're at, we have episodes about that. And Clay, when we first started, I think you were just like, I don't even know, were you in the $30,000 months yet when we were first starting
No,
those?
I was doing 15, $20,000 months, I
So yeah,
believe.
you can listen to him talking about where you guys probably are now, and then you can see where he's at, like $50,000 months now. So it's not like, oh, we're talking game where we're so far away. Like you can literally go back to where Clay was probably in your shoes and listen to all those podcasts and learn his journey from how he's like walking it through, as well as like him talking about, oh, I'm running all these ads, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then 2 years down the road, you're like, whoa, this guy's got like a legitimate business. And he did so because of everything we've been kind of documenting in this podcast. That's what I think is cool. And it's like, hey, we're talking high level about like commercial jobs here or there, but if you guys are sitting at $10,000 a month, check out our earlier episodes. Like we've
Yeah,
got a day
in
worth of
in the
content.
in the first couple of episodes, we talk about what we did, how we got started in this, and where we came from. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So if you like what you hear here, make sure just to check out our older episodes, and you learn a lot of lessons. But if that's it, we'll wrap this thing up, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace out, guys.
See ya.